Now, if you look into the official name of Pakistan, that is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the constitutional name of Pakistan, Islamic Republic of Pakistan, right? Now, the type of government, we have got a federal republic, right? Now, what is a federation or what is a federal republic? Can anybody tell me that?
That has a center and every decision, every important decision is taken in that center.
Okay, that is one explanation. Anybody else? What is a federal republic? Okay, what is a federation? And what is a unitary state? Okay. Okay, a federation, there are kinds of states, right? So, mainly there are two kinds of states, federation and unitary states. So, federation is a state in which different units come together and decide that they need to form a state. In order to form that state, these units, they just give up part of their sovereignty in favor of the federation, and then they keep part of it, you know, the sovereignty, the autonomy, they keep part of it. So that is a federation, right? And in unitary state, there is only administrative kind of division in the state, like the provinces and everything, they mean nothing, but they are just administrative units, just to make things easy for the government, right? So Pakistan is a federation. As we know that we have got 4 provinces right now, and if you call Gilgit-Baltistan a province, then we have got 5 provinces, right? So these Punjab, Balochistan, Sindh and KP, formerly NWFP, they just decided to be part of the Pakistan, the current Pakistan, right? And they gave up their sovereignty in favor of the central government in Pakistan. That okay, we would not demand for independence, we would not exercise full autonomy in all domains, we would give part of our autonomy to you, you should exercise these powers for us, and in the remaining areas we would be exercising some powers, like for example in education and health, the provinces would be free to make their own policies, right? But in currency, in foreign policy, foreign affairs and in defense, the provinces would not be free to make their own policies, right? So this is how a federation is formed. The United States of America is the best example of a federation, right? As we know that initially only 13 states in the United States of America, they agreed upon that constitution of the US, and they formed a federation. Later on, the rest of the states were either joining the US or they were incorporated by force into the United States of America, but now the number is 50. So Pakistan is a federal republic, right? Which means that powers of the provinces would have been described, or they are supposed to be described in the constitutions, right? This is what we mean by the federal republic. Okay, administrative division. Then one capital territory, which is ICT, right? Then federally administered tribal areas, like 7 agencies and 6 FRs, right? And then Gilgit-Baltistan, this was previously known as the northern areas, now it's Gilgit-Baltistan. Some people call it a separate province, but this separate province doesn't have the same status as the rest of the 4 provinces. That is why it has not been mentioned over here and the number is still 4, right? Because this doesn't have that kind of autonomy in its affair as the rest of the 4 provinces have, right? Okay, then the Azad Jammu and Kashmir, right? So this is something related to Pakistan, right? Okay, then the pillars of government. Okay, now when we call something a government, what are the constituents of a government? If I say that I need tea, you would come to know that okay, these are the ingredients of tea, right? So when we call government, what are the ingredients of government?
Executive, legislature and judiciary.
Yes, executive, legislature and judiciary, right? Now legislature is what we call mukannina, and this is the law making body, right? Any government is incomplete without having a law making body with it, right? That law making body might be an individual, but if that function is performed by someone or somebody, right, then that is the legislature, right? Then in our case, this is the National Assembly and the Senate, like the Parliament. So this is the legislature, and in the provincial assemblies at the provincial level. Then the administration, this is the executive, those who execute laws and policies, like the Prime Minister and his cabinet. So that is the administration. They are at the top of the administration in the country. A minister heads a ministry, and then there is a secretary, a permanent employee of the government of Pakistan under the minister, and then the rest of the administrative machinery of that ministry. So that is the administration or the executive function of the government. So a government should also have this function with it. Without this function, we cannot call something a government, right? And then judiciary. So now when this legislature or this legislation is done, right, the administration implements it. But what if there is kind of dispute between two parties over some issue? Judiciary should be there to decide matters, right? And the interpretation of this legislation, this is the function of the judiciary. So when constitution is made, the interpretation is done by the judiciary. It is not done by common people, right? Then some people also include defense in the government, right? That this is also one of the ingredients of the government. But this is for understanding the separate mention of this defense is good. It should be in your mind. But then we can even bring this defense under the administration, because we know that we have a Ministry of Defense as well, and there is a Minister of Defense. So this defense comes under him, right? And then media. Some people call media as again one of the ingredients of the government, because it keeps a check on the government. It highlights flaws, okay, but then we have communication, a minister for communication as well, and this media and this PAMRA and Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority or something like that. It comes under that Ministry of Communication, and the exact name is just skipping my mind, but it comes under that ministry. So then if you do not even mention it separately, again the word administration or executive encompasses these two things, right? So there should be no confusion, but these three are the basic ingredients of the government. So you should not forget about these three, the first three, right? Okay, then we have got some political pressure groups in the country. Now, what is the function of a pressure group? Can you tell me?
If any wrong decision is taken, they
affect the decisions in the sense that their opinions are putting pressure on
the government.
pressurize them to go one way or the other.
Okay, anybody else?
like sir, it recently happened. The government of Nawaz Sharif has been turned down, and the other political party, they pressurized the judiciary to take decision against them.
Okay, all of the explanations you gave, they are right? Okay, military, the political pressure group is, it is the kind of group which is not directly like, member of this legislature, right? It is not the member of this legislature, because laws are made over there in legislature, right? And administration just executes those laws. So when a pressure group is a kind of a group, when it feels that, its interests are not served, then they use some tactics to influence legislation in the country and administration of the country as well, even judiciary. They influence these things, these bodies, just to make them take certain steps which they want them to take, right, to safeguard their own interests. So this is the purpose of, this is a political pressure group. Now in our country, if you just give me some examples of military, how military is a pressure group in our country. Who is speaking? Okay. Martial law?
जब situation out of hand होती है तो martial law लग जाता है.
So that is a direct control. When martial law is implemented in the country, or when it is enforced in the country, then that becomes a government, The martial law dictator, he himself is the legislature, he himself is the executive, and at times he himself is the judiciary, because judiciary is influenced by him. So that is a government again, so that is not a pressure group.
There's the threat of these things happening that puts pressure on the government, the threat of martial law, that this can happen if we don't go according to what the military
The threat of martial law, or in other words,
सर वो 90 में जो जैसे MQ उधर
Rangers.
okay, military over here I have mentioned it as a pressure group in our country because normally we all know that military is the actual actor in our country. They ask people to do things for them, right? And it is not only the case in Pakistan, it is the case in many other developed countries as well, that military always plays a role behind the scene. They ask legislature to do some, a certain kind of lawmaking for them, and then they devise plan for it, and they have got their own tactics how to pressurize the government officials and to make them do things which they want them to do.
Sir, I think our military got that position after a very long time, especially after Pervez Musharraf and all that happened. So I think now army has gained, or military has gained that position in our country, that it's being accepted and respected as well by the people.
Okay, and fine, that's a good analysis. And how this military is persuading the legislatures, the administration and the judiciary, how they persuade them, these bodies or members of these bodies? Yes?
with the help of people, because they're popular among people.
These pressure groups, they resort to many kinds of tactics, and they use even print and electronic media for themselves to propagate their agenda, to influence others. Like you can clearly see people speaking for the military in print media, in electronic media, in the talk shows, and in shape of analyst. Then the same is the case with the ulama. At times they would come to the streets, they would agitate, right, on some issues, but in the print and electronic media, people would also speak for them. So they just, attack the government from all spheres to make it do whatever they want them to do for them, right? Okay, and similar is the case for the land owners, industrialists and small merchants. They are also influential in one way or the other way. So this is how it is, right? Political parties, they are not pressure groups. They just go to the public and they contest in the election. These are the kind of people like military. They cannot be candidates. They cannot, nominate their candidates for the election. So ulama, those ulama who are not part of the political process like electoral process, they are not part of it. They cannot win a seat, but still they just want to influence things, influence people, and then they resort to these kind of tactics. So pressure groups are normally those groups who cannot take part in the electoral process in the country, or who do not take part in this process. Like if you the line is not clear, it is blurred, right? But if land owners, they might take part in the electoral process, right? The industrial, they might, the merchant, they might take it. At times some ulamas, they also can take. But when we think about military, the military personnel, they cannot, by law, by constitution, they cannot do it. So that is why we cannot include political parties as such in it, like from the platform of a party they cannot do, but in their individual capacity, even as a lawmaker, but in their individual capacity when they are lawmakers, like for example there is a land owner and he has just won his seat in the National Assembly. Now he is one person, he cannot do anything when it comes to the number of votes, but then he can lobby, he can persuade others, and he can create kind of a pressure, like just take the example of Mahmud Khan Achakzai, right? I'm just giving this example just to highlight, he doesn't have that numerical edge in the National Assembly, but he can influence, right? He can ally himself with this party or that party, and then he can convince them to do things for. So he is playing the role of kind of a pressurizing role for the government, and then he convinces the government to do things. But in terms of military, we cannot. And then in terms of political parties specifically, like a whole party working as a pressure group, so I do not buy this thing, because then if a political party is comprised of, for example, if it is succeeded in winning 10 to 15 seats in the National Assembly, then it has got a weightage for itself, and it will resolve things constitutionally, not like the way a pressure group does it, right? Okay.
But sir, opposition is also influencing some of
Who is speaking? Okay.
sir, opposition also somehow influences government's
Or that is a part of the government.
So opposition and government and opposition, they play this role, right? The government will implement something, the opposition will keep a check on the government. This is the beauty of democracy. So we cannot say that opposition works as a pressure group, because that function of opposition is to oppose the government, not criticize the government for the sake of criticism, but to criticize it on merit, so that the government does not do any wrongdoings. So this is the function of opposition. But in pressure group, we are talking particularly about those kind of tactics in which they do not oppose each other on the floor of the parliament. For example, I would say that in dharnas, in the PTI dharnas, that particular act of dharna, that was the act of pressurizing government out of the parliament on the street. So they resorted to the tactics of the pressure group like tactics at that time. But opposition, when it plays its role within the parliament, then it does not come under the domain or the definition of pressure group, right? Because then it is doing it from a particular platform which is meant for that kind of job, right? Okay, any other question about it? Pressure group and government, and any other question about it? Okay. Now, what are the export commodities of Pakistan, right? So these are some of the exports of Pakistan, carpets, chemicals, sports goods, leather goods, rice, and these are the export of Pakistan. And what are imports, like petroleum products, machinery, plastic, transportation equipment, edible oils, papers and paperboard, iron and steel, tea, etc. This is what Pakistan usually imports, right? Something more, the official code of the Pakistani currency, that is PKR, Pakistani rupee, right? The internet code of the country is .pk. Broadcast radio station, radio broadcast station, we have 31 AM and 68 FM radio stations in the country. This is an approximate figure, right? Then around 90 television channels we are having in our country. Then 8 international airports, right? And small airports, or including the international ones, and then the small airports. So the total number of airports, that is 50 in the country. 5 seaports, 3 in Sindh, 5 in Balochistan and 3 in Sindh, right? And then dry ports, then railway stations around 34, right? So this is okay. Now fishery is an industry in the country, right? What role does it play in the economy of the country, or what is the, yeah? Sorry? Important role, yeah. It does play an important role in the country, right? And because we have got a coastline of around 800 miles, and people living on those coastlines, normally the rural areas, not in the urban centers but in the rural centers, on the rural areas on those coastlines, their economies depend on the fishing industry. They just, you know, that is their means of survival. So that is why, and then, you know, demands in the country for meat are catered by this industry up to a large extent, right? So that is why it is an important, it plays an important role in the country, right? And we also export it, right? So this is the importance of it. Okay, what should be the ideal number of, what should be the ideal percentage of forest in a land?
25%. Pakistan comprises of only 5%.
Not 5%, it is 2%. This figure, even this figure of 4, which I have mentioned over here, this is a disputed figure, right? The actual figure, some analysts say that it is 2% in Pakistan, not 5%, right? So forest, Pakistan needs it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is the purpose or what is the utility of forests for us? Why do we say that we need them?
Main source of food, wood for domestic use, paper.
Food, explain it. How?
Sir, fruits वगैरह. Fruits होते हैं forest.
And
Sir, forest में बकरियाँ उन्हें काट के.
Wildlife.
yes, wildlife, then food. Okay. Okay. You know, it provides us food in shape of vegetables, even in shape of meat. There are a lot of, you know, because that is the environment which is required for animals to live in. So if there are more forests in a country, the wildlife in that country would be quite rich, and it will serve that purpose as well. Then, you know, we need wood for domestic use in our houses. So that purpose is served by the forest. If there are no forests, then we would be compelled to import even wood for the domestic use. This wood, the forests, they are also needed in the paper industry, right? Then fuel wood. This is, you can say that this is the for furniture and fuel, both purposes. You know, to make rubber we need forest. Then, you know, a lot of medicines, almost all of them, forest, they just plants and vegetables and different roots, they are used in those medicine. So for that even forest is of great utility for us, right? And then it can promote tourism in the country, because people do not go to see barren areas. They would like to go and see some lush green areas, and normally forests serve these purposes. Yes, please. Exactly. So that is why it is of great utility for us, right? Okay. Now mining in Pakistan, mining is again, why mining is important for a country? Why mining is important for a country? Tell me that first.
If you will be
There's salt
energy
support economies.
One person at a time. Ji. Ji.
source of energy.
Source of energy. How?
Sir, coal, coal mines, से हम लोग चूल्हे लगा सकते हैं. Like, sir, जो northern areas होते हैं उधर लोग usually use करते हैं coal.
Okay. Fine.
Boost the economy
How?
because of the minerals that are present.
Like you are saying that mines can boost the economy. So just give me an explanation how it can boost the
Because of
economy.
minerals that are present, like they're expensive.
Okay, minerals.
Sir, source of the salt. Salt.
Right. All of you are right. Mineral resources. There is an estimate about Afghanistan that there are around $5 trillion minerals in Afghanistan, right? 5 estimated, which are known. They are just supposed to be explored. So, not explored, exploited. Okay. So mineral resources, our country is quite rich in mineral resources. If we utilize this resource for the development of Pakistan, if we properly exploit it, then Pakistan can be among the richest countries of the world, right? Then like we have got gypsum, limestone, chromite, iron, rock salt, silver, even gold, and the precious stones, gems, marbles, and all these resources, all these minerals, they are found in Pakistan in different areas, in Balochistan particularly, and that is why mining in Pakistan, it is we need to develop this industry, we need to master this skill, the skill of mining for the development of Pakistan, right? Because Pakistan is a country which has got everything under the soil, right? We only need to have appropriate skills to exploit it. Okay. Now, what are the international agreements of Pakistan? Now, and first of all, tell me why international agreements are needed. Why do we go for agreements?
mutual benefit,
To live
like both
peacefully
countries
in
get mutual
the
benefit
world.
and for the maintaining peace and all.
Okay. Please, again. दोबारा बोलें please. I could not get it.
Establish good
To establish good relations. And why do we need good relations? To live peacefully in the world. Okay. Now, how can an agreement related to the atmosphere help us creating good relations with other countries?
I think it creates harmony among the countries and a sense of unity among the countries.
And how an agreement about the exploration of minerals and oil reserves in a country. Please be loud.
सर एक मुल्क की जरूरत अगर फॉर एग्जांपल है जो दूसरे मुल्क के पास नहीं है तो वो उसको इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट एक रीजनेबल रेट्स पे कर सकते हैं
Biodiversity.
Okay, that is fine. This is fine. So Pakistan is part of many international agreements, right? You know, this is an agreement of which Pakistan is part of, right? Pakistan has signed this agreement and it is related to the seas, right? So that disputes on seas, they are resolved under the charter of this agreement, right? Then atmosphere and climate change, ozone layer protection, these are the agreements, different agreements, and Pakistan is one of the signatories of these agreements, and it is important for Pakistan to be part of such kind of agreements, because they not only ask the signatory countries to cut down the carbon emission, but if that particular country needs technical assistance in modifying its industrial base to cut down the carbon emission, that technical assistance is also provided by the developed countries. So Pakistan gets something out of it as well. It is not like just to serve their purpose. It is not only serving the purpose of the developed countries, but also the purpose of the less developed countries like Pakistan, and then getting technological assistance from the developed countries for itself, for its industrial development, right? This is very important for for Pakistan, because the climate change, it is affecting the developed countries. Just remember this thing, that the developed countries are not that much affected by the climate change, but these drastic changes in the climate. But this is the least developed countries, or the developed countries like Pakistan. We have been hit by flood in 2010. Then almost every year we are hit by severe floods in the country, and the population, the poor population of the country, it is affected. In the developed countries, a flood might come with much more intensity than it came in Pakistan, but people are not suffered that much because of the developed infrastructure over there, right? And the living standard of the people. But in Pakistan, countries like Pakistan, people are much affected by this. So that is why these kinds of agreement, it serves the purpose of Pakistan as well, the poor countries as well. So this is a good thing for Pakistan. Then Pakistan is part of the many agreements like biodiversity, environment, forest, right, and environmental modification and marine life, etc., right? You might have heard one more thing about the DG Khan incident. There were some protests in DG Khan a few years back, and people were protesting regarding the deposits, the nuclear deposits in DG Khan area. If you haven't heard, let me tell you that they were protesting about these nuclear deposits, because we are a nuclear country and there are a lot of dangerous waste in our country, right? So Pakistan is a signatory of many agreements in which it is supposed to take care of its dangerous waste, and it should not be depositing those waste in those areas which are prohibited. For example, the densely populated areas, right? And then the Indus Water Treaty, right? Okay. Tell me something about the culture of Pakistan. What is culture?
The way they live.
The values and
The values, the traditions,
norms,
Language.
Language.
okay, right, okay. Pakistan has got its own culture. This culture in its totality, we might call it the Pakistani culture, but when we just look towards the culture of Pakistan, look into it deeply, then we might find that there is a diversity of cultures in the country, right? Balochi culture, Punjabi culture, Saraiki culture, Pashtun culture, and you just name it. And these different cultures within the Pakistani culture makes, they make Pakistani culture, right? Okay, can you give me the example of any other country which has, apart from India and Pakistan, which has got such kind of variety in its cultures?
Turkey.
What are the, okay, US, US is known as the melting pot of cultures. Yeah, please. India. I just told you, apart from India. What are different cultures existing in Malaysia? There might be different cultures in Africa as well, but certainly not in those countries which you just named, right? So in this regard, Pakistan is a unique case, that Pakistan has got many different cultures, and still it has got one Pakistani culture as well, representing the whole of the nation, right? Okay, these are just, you know, names of different cultures in the country, right? And these are these cultures, they are followed, they are observed by different people living in the country, right? Okay, Pakistan is a multicultural. Please do not talk. Do not talk, please. Pakistan is a multicultural country, and it is socially diversified, right? This social diversification, this is not a point of weakness for Pakistan. This is a point of strength. This is a strength of Pakistan, right? Tell me how this is strength. We can term it as a strength for Pakistan. Social diversification.
Helps us understand other people better and also to accept and adapt.
We are more flexible towards other cultures.
Are we?
Deep
It depends upon the area. Like if we are sitting here in Islamabad, it won't matter that much. But if we go in some backward area wearing jeans and shirt, it won't matter.
Okay, but how diversity can boost strength? Give me an example. This is, we can have a debate on this thing, that whether we are socially diversified or not. But if we are socially diversified, can it be a strength or can it be a weakness for us?
I think it depends upon situation. Sometimes we are actually weak when it comes to being socially diversified, but sometimes it actually gives us the energy or the strength actually.
You know, diversity, if we accept diversity, that can be a strength for us. If we do not accept diversity, that can be a weakness for us. Because if I accept diversity, that for example, he is different, he has got different views than I do, right? And he is different from me, and even then I'm good with that, right? Then he will be feeling comfortable with me. If I'm not good with that and I just try to make him change his way of life, then he might be kind of a rebel. He might revolt against me. So this diversity, if we accept diversity, that is good. If we cannot accept diversity, then this diversity is a point of weakness for us. Then that is a weakness for us, because ultimately it will you know, create clashes in the society. So Pakistan is a socially diversified country, and at times we do not accept this thing, but normally we accept this diversity, and that is why it can you know, boost the integrity of Pakistan, right? Okay, now this is just a glimpse of the different cultures in Pakistan. So just tell me, what is this? You know, which culture? Punjab, right? And this? Same, okay, fine. Right, almost, this is almost the same, you know, but this is the diversity, you know, even in Punjab you can see these different shades of culture, right? So you cannot say that this is the same culture, right? Okay, now just look towards this. What is this? We can see. Can you tell me about this one? The northern areas, right? And this? Okay, and this one, this is Chitral, right? This is polo, or that buskashi, you know, the game which is normally played. I think this is Khatak dance, or kind of it, right? So representing the diversity of the cultures in the country. These are our cultures. I could not incorporate all of the cultures in Pakistan in these slides, because then it will be just, you know, cultural studies and not the encompassing all the aspects of the land and people of Pakistan. So that was just a glimpse. But if you analyze the culture in Fata, that is different from the culture in Peshawar. That is different from the culture in Banu. If you analyze the culture in Rahim Yar Khan, right, that might be different from the culture in Lahore, in Faisalabad, in Gujarat. And then likewise, the culture in Shikarpur, it is different from the culture in Karachi. And the culture in Gawadar might be different from the culture in Sibbi, right? But overall, these differences, they are making these units, you know. So this is how it is in the country. Okay, now we have the point of origin for our literature, that is the 1947, right? Our literature, the Pakistani literature, it emerged in 1947 because Pakistan came into being, and then we had to, you know, develop our own literature, and whatever was done in Pakistan, that was the development of the Pakistani literature, right? I'm talking about the literary developments in the country. We have Urdu literature in the country, and then even English literature, right? Okay. Now what happened is that literature is normally developed. There is a very famous saying about the literature. If a writer was asked that what is literature, and he replied that if you are asking me about what is literature, I might not be able to answer you, but yes, I do know what literature is. So it is difficult to define literature. What is literature, right? It's a vast term. But these languages, whatever is written in the languages, in a language, that becomes part of the literature. May it be poetry, may it be novel, may it be a story, may it be in any other form of writing, but whatever is written down in a language, it becomes part of the literature, right? So then you can see that languages which are spoken in Pakistan, like Urdu, English, Punjabi, Pashto, Saraiki, Balochi, Sindhi, all these languages have got, you know, their own taste, their own touch, and they contribute towards the literatures of these languages. You know, the literature is enriched. And over all these literatures, they are part of the Pakistani literature. You cannot say that the Pakistani literature is in Urdu, it is in English. Saraiki literature, it is Pakistani literature. Pashto literature, it is Pakistani. Punjabi literature is part of Pakistani literature. So all these literatures, pieces of literature, they are Pakistani literature, right? Are you clear about it? Okay. Okay, then if we talk about the culture in more detail, then, you know, music, folk music, Qawwali, Ghazal, and even Western music, that is part of the culture of Pakistan, right? In dances, we have Atan, Khatak, Khatak, Luddi, Ho Jamalo, and Bhangra, etc. These are part of the culture of Pakistan, and people usually go for it. They on the occasions when they are happy, you know, they just resort to these kind of things. Okay, so if we say that Pakistan is multi-cultural, how? Because of different regions, because of different languages spoken in the country. On the basis of it, we call it multicultural. Otherwise, we would just call it that Pakistan has got one or two, or let's say 3-4 cultures, but not this much variety of cultures, right? Then there are subcultures, as I have told you that culture in Fata might be different from the culture in Peshawar, but still for an outsider, that is Pashtun culture. Peshawar and Fata might, you know, he might just consider both cultures as one, because he would say that that is a Pashtun culture. The culture of the South Punjab is quite different from that of the North Punjab. So this is the subculture, right? This is what we call subcultures. Then there are different castes and tribes and rural, then you know, rural areas has got a variety in it. Then urban centers in the country like metropolitan cities and towns, etc. Then there are elites in the country, right? They have got their own culture, and the middle class, the upper middle class, the lower middle class, they have got their own culture. Then the lower class, they have got their own culture, right? Then there are different religions in the country like Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Hinduism, you know, and these different religions, even the religions prevailing in the northern areas like the Kalash and those areas. So again, it is contributing towards the multiculturalism in the country and different sects, right, in the country. Right, then it is a socially diversified, as we just discussed. Socially diversified how? Like, you know, one class is rich, the ultra rich, the elites, right? The other is poor, living below the poverty line, right? Like you might find people who can spend up to 50,000 on one meal, and then you might find people who cannot even spend up to 50 rupees on one meal, right? So this is that diversity in the country. Then a lot of people are on the managerial positions. They are managers. Many workers are working in the country, like the ones working in the small industries, the ones working in the industrial complex in the countries, or even in the steel mills, but they are workers, right? Then some people are doing jobs in the officers' rank in the country, in different organizations, in different industries, and then some are working as subordinates in the country as the economy is growing. So this is a division, a bifurcation of different classes on different lines. Then some are teachers, some are students like you, then doctors and engineers, etc. So this is, you know, a socially diversified country. We are living in a socially diversified country. Now all we need to do is to just accept this diversity. We are diverse people. All we need to do is to accept it. We do not need to ask people to behave like us, right? Maybe we are wrong in our personal capacity. Maybe we are wrong. So we do not have got this right to ask people to behave like us because we are right, right? And this approach can help us achieve the goal of diversity, positive diversity in the country. A healthy environment would be created by our own behavior. If we look down upon someone just because of his attire, or just because of his language, or just because of his profession, so that is the killer for diversity in the country, right? These kind of things, or because of his religion or sect, these kinds of things, they are the I would say that this attitude is killer for diversity. So we should not be indulging in such kind of activities, in such kind of gossips, in such kinds of approaches towards our fellow countrymen, right? And only in this way we will be able to create a healthy environment in the country, the environment which I would say was prevailing in the 70s and 60s in Pakistan, not in 80s and 90s, and particularly after 2000, after year 2000, right? So we can roll back this situation by changing our own approach towards the fellow countrymen, right? Okay, now this is it. In the next class we would start a new topic, inshallah, right? Thank you very much.